Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Ayer Select Board meeting for Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Governor Baker issued an emergency order temporarily suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Public bodies otherwise governed by the open meeting law are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate alternative means. This meeting will be broadcast live on Channel 8 and on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by following the call-in information on the bottom of the live broadcast screen. For the Zoom meeting information relating to remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, the Assistant Town Manager, at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220 extension 100 prior to the meeting.
Right, enough.
If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, stand.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes to the meeting agenda?
I don't have any.
I don't have any.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Seconded.
Okay, Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And this evening's agenda is approved as presented. Before I get into the regular announcements for the evening, I want to take a moment and the town would like to take a moment to recognize or to have a moment of silence, in memory of Theodore Ted Januszkiewicz, who passed away on February 27th. Ted, as he was known by so many, was not only a resident of Ayer, but served the town in various capacities over his life. Ted served the town as a firefighter for 14 years. He also served as an Ayer police officer, animal control officer, and a school custodian for many years. Ted was also a past Parks Commissioner and served as the town's representative to the Neshoba Valley School District School Committee. Ted was the father of Deputy Chief Jeremy Januszkiewicz. The town of Ayer offers its thoughts and prayers to Ted's family, wife Karen, daughter Sarah, son Jeremy, and the entire Januszkiewicz family during this difficult time. Let's have a moment of silence in honor of Ted. Okay, thank you. For other announcements this evening, the second public budget forum will take place on Monday, March 8th, 2021 at 6 p.m. on Zoom. The forum will discuss the fiscal year 2022 budget to be considered at town meeting and is a great opportunity for the public to ask questions. The fiscal year 2022 public hearings regarding the fiscal year 2022 water, sewer, and solid waste rates will take place on Tuesday, March 16th, 2021 at 6 p.m. on Zoom as part of the select board meeting that evening. The census was due at the end of January, and please be sure to send into the clerk's office if you haven't yet. Last day to license your dog is March 31st, 2021. Nomination papers are available for the May 11th, 2021 town elections. The last day to request nomination papers is Friday, March 19th at 12 p.m. The last day to submit nomination papers is Monday, March 22nd at 4 p.m. And the last day to submit citizens petitions to the clerk's office is Friday, April 2nd at 12 p.m. And that is all I have for announcements for tonight. Our first order of business, is there anybody on the line for public input? Okay, I'm not hearing any. So we move on to the next order is public hearing for the transfer of Section 12 all alcohol license from Neshoba Club Restaurant, Inc. to Neshoba Club, Inc. at 14 Central Ave.
I'll read the notice.
Okay.
Town of Ayer, notice of public hearing, Ayer Select Board. The Ayer Select Board will be conducting a remote access public hearing on Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021 at 6:05 p.m. regarding an application for a transfer of a Section 12 restaurant all alcohol license from Neshoba Restaurant Incorporated, DBA The Neshoba Club, 14 Central Ave, Ayer, to Neshoba Club Incorporated, 14 Central Ave, Ayer. Name of applicant, Neshoba Club Incorporated. Date of public hearing, Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021. Time of public hearing, 6:05 p.m. Location of public hearing, Zoom remote participation. Zoom information for the public hearing may be obtained by contacting Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 100.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just wanted to introduce Robert Julian, who is the applicant. He is on the call, as well as his attorney, Dan Tenzar. So they're both here for this matter.
Okay, good evening. Welcome, gentlemen. Everything on this seems pretty straightforward. Carly, this is my first time doing this, so do you want to help me out here?
Sure. So this is the standard application form for a transfer from the state. We use the state's application packet, which is very detailed for this. It's about that one, that big.
Yeah.
So we've sent it out to all our departments for review. There were no issues. If you act favorably on the license tonight, then I send it to the ABCC in Boston, where they start their own investigation for approval. And that sometimes takes, it varies anywhere from, I've seen 3 weeks, I've seen 3 months. So it really depends. But if the board had questions, Attorney Tenzar or Robert is on, you could certainly ask.
Okay. Any questions from either board members?
Quick question. Just why exactly are we doing this? I mean, it's no big deal. I just kind of wondering what's happening here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I might address that.
Yes. Go ahead.
My name is Attorney Dan Tenzar. I represent the Neshoba Club, Inc. And the principals of Neshoba Club, Inc. are the Julian family. The Julian family has been in the food and beverage business for many years, basically 40 years for Dad, and for RJ, the last 15 years or so. The family, because they're so involved in food and beverage, they've always wanted to own a restaurant. Not only are they purchasing the business or looking to purchase the business with your approval, but they're also purchasing the real estate. One of the things that they've noticed is all the great things that you as a board and the town manager and all the employees have done in the town of Ayer. You know, just by way of background, I always notice in the newspaper all of the good stories that come from the town, and they were very excited to be part of this. Right now, they're looking to continue the business the way it is, you know, basically the same type of restaurant with pizza, and with the liquor license. The Julians are, as the package may indicate, they have ServSafe certification. They're all tip certified. They've been through this process a number of times as far as working in the food and beverage industry. In addition, RJ has also has his graduate degree from Bentley University. And in addition to the liquor license, I believe there's also a request for a common victualer's license as well. So they're very excited about being part of the community and all the great things that are going on in your community.
Great, thank you very much.
Scott, did you have any questions?
My only question is looking through the packet, there's just a question on the personal property and the real estate taxes. Do we know if those have been processed?
Yeah, I spoke with Barbara yesterday on that. That's all. If it's not all set right now, by the closing, it will be taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, I don't have any other questions. Do we want to, somebody might make a motion on it?
And just for, it would be both the section 12 liquor license and the common victualer's license.
All in one motion?
That's fine, yeah.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve the transfer of a Section 12 restaurant all alcohol license from Neshoba Restaurant Incorporated, DBA The Neshoba Club, 14 Central Ave, Ayer, and approve the common particulars license.
Seconded.
Okay, Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So the transfer is approved.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
your time.
Appreciate it.
Yes, no problem. Thank you, guys.
All right,
I'll be in touch, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carly.
good luck.
Appreciate
Thanks.
it. We'll see you around.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
I will second.
Okay, Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and so the public hearing is closed. So the next item up is recognition of promoted public safety personnel for the Air Police and Fire Department.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. Under normal circumstances, we would have these in-person meetings with the select board, which are always great, and to celebrate the achievements of our employees. That being the case for tonight on Zoom, we've had several promotions within our public safety departments, police and fire. And through you, Mr. Chair, I will start with Chief Murray from the police department, and then we'll go to Chief Johnston from the fire department, and they'll introduce the personnel who've recently been promoted. Chief.
Evening, everybody. How you doing?
Hi, how are
Evening,
you?
Chief. How are you?
Good. So I just, by way of introduction, I wanted to introduce our brand new police sergeant, Andrew Kolarski. Little bit of background. Andrew's been with us since 2002. In 2009 until about this year, the end of last year, he was a department detective. He held many responsibilities in the Detective Bureau. He's been coach. He's coached football. He's coached soccer. He was instrumental as a co-developer in a really exciting program we had with the Air Shirley Regional High School. They created a forensics math class. So that was an exciting excuse me, endeavor that he took on. He holds 2 degrees, both in criminal justice. One's an associate's from Quinn Sig, one's a bachelor's from Curry. The bachelor's from Curry also has a sociology along with the criminal justice. He's been a legal update instructor for many years and instructed at our Assistant Police Academy. He's currently part of our accreditation team along with Detective Barhite and Deputy Gill. and he was one of 7 candidates for this position for sergeant. Drew, you want to say a few words?
I just like to say thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself to everybody. Being there for almost 19 years, I was either on midnights or in the detective bureau, so I haven't really got to meet as many people in the community as I would have, unless I had some kind of reason to be talking to them. Just because the positions I held kind of put me in different positions where I didn't have as much public contact as I would normally have. But hopefully now that I'm a sergeant, I'll be able to have more of that public contact.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Chief Murray. And then
You're
through the
welcome.
chair, we'll go to Fire Chief Johnston, who has 3 individuals.
Great. Thank you, Robert. Thank you to the board for inviting us to introduce our 2 promoted members and our newest member to the fire department. So this evening, I'll start off with our first promotion when I became chief that left the deputy chief's vacancy. And that was the newest appointed deputy chief is Jeremy Janiskevich. He has been on the call department since '96. He became a career full-time firefighter in '98, was promoted to lieutenant in 2007, and then captain in 2016, and was promoted to the rank of deputy chief on February 11th, a few weeks ago. If you want, Robert, I'll go through all 3 and you can have many questions. Next promotion with the deputy chief getting promoted, that left a vacancy in the captain spot. Captain Dave Greenwood was taken off the active captain's list and was promoted to captain. Dave came to us with 6 years of experience from the town of Sterling, and he started with the Air Fire Department back in '06, was promoted to lieutenant in 2016, and became captain effective on February 11th, the same day, the same day the deputy was promoted. And with that position, we ended up having an open full-time vacancy on our fire department. And that person is Mr. Zach Broderick. His first day was actually today, was his first day of a few training days. Zach has been on the call department since 2013, but he's been a full-time member of the Boxborough Fire Department till his departure since 2016. So he's been on 5 years full-time over there. And like I said, he started his first day today, you know, a week of training. So congratulations to all 3 of them. Well deserved. And all 3 are on if anybody has any questions for either one of those. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Chief.
Congratulations on the promotions, and Mr. Broderick, welcome back to Air. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations to everyone. This is wonderful.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you, Chiefs.
Thank you.
The next thing order is presentation of the draft housing production plan by the MRPC with the Air Planning Board. I know Jeff is on from the Planning Board. Did you need to call to order for your board?
I'm happy to do that if you'd like, Mr. Chair. It looks
Sure.
like we have a quorum, so I'd like to call the Air Planning Board to order at 6:20 on March 3rd for the joint meeting with the Select Board to hear the program, the draft housing production plan presentation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And so I'll turn it over to Alicia, Ms. Hersey.
Good evening. How is everyone?
Great, how are you?
Good.
And you.
So the Affordable Housing Committee was formed in February of 2019. And one of our first goals was to work on a housing production plan for the town. And we wrote a DLT, or a grant proposal, to work with MRPC, Massachusetts Regional Planning Organization, to write this housing production plan. And we've been partnering with them since the summer of 2019. COVID's gotten a little bit in the way, but we've brought it forward. We had input sessions in the fall of 2019. We had a housing preference session, which was, I don't know if people remember, I know a number of our planning board were there. It was our neighborhood pizza party, and we did housing preference and that sort of thing. So we have our final product here, and we're open to feedback from the planning board and the board of selectmen. And we have from MRPC, we have Blair Haney, who's going to do a presentation. And I think Karen Chapman's here too as well. So Blair, I'm going to let you start off with the presentation. And if people have questions, please, we'll talk about them afterwards.
Great. Thank you, Alicia. I appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. As Alicia said, I am Blair Haney. I'm a senior planner with the MRPC. I'm new. I've picked up this project, and I'm working with Alicia and with Alan and Karen and Jonathan Voss from our staff to try and get this across the line. And this is, it's not the final step, but it's kind of like the final town step. I do have a presentation. It's a PowerPoint. Am I going to do a screen share, or is someone else going to do it? Okay, great. All right, cool. So, nice. Yes, so this is the introduction. This is the Ayer Housing Production Plan. The purpose of a housing production plan, sort of broadly speaking, is that it's a proactive strategy. You're taking steps to initiate conversations, both internally with stakeholders, but also with the wider community. As Alicia pointed out, we had public meetings. There's three main components: the housing needs assessment, the affordable housing goals and strategies. It's not just affordable. This is a housing production plan. It's not just big A income restricted housing goals. It's producing housing to meet all needs. And then, of course, the implementation plan. So after you come up with your goals, what's your plan to implement it? All right, so I put this presentation in three big buckets. What did we find? What have we done? What are we going to do, and how are we going to do it? So what do we find is the analysis of demographics, a lot of your census data, and kind of wrestling with that data. What does it tell us? What are we learning from it? And then what does that tell us about our housing needs? We also looked at development constraints and opportunities. Obviously, once you've decided the kind of housing you need, where physically can this go, and what would be some of the best types of housing to encourage? What have we done? This section is kind of like the victory lap for the town. Like, what accomplishments have you made towards producing more housing? We're going to look at the affordable units that you have right now. And then, as I said, some changes: zoning, policy, anything administratively. So I'll go over a list of those. And then what are we going to do, and how are we going to do it? MRPC is a team player as part of this, and we're going to continue to help you. But our role in this was to help write this plan, which is in and of itself a step. But what are Ayer officials going to do? The planning board, the select board, the housing committee, and how can they do it? What is the plan to implement these things? So what did we find? Looking at some of the key demographics, we had a total population increase over the last 19 years of a little over 11%. The data that we're going to be working with, by the way, is coming from the American Community Survey, the ACS, which is the most recent data put out. We literally updated it midway, or not even midway, like about a month or two ago when it was released for this project. So when you see certain data points, just understand that it is the most recent and updated data. So you have about 8,100 people here in Ayer at this time, as of 2019. A key piece of data is that the population is aging. The residents that are aged, I believe it's 55 and older, has increased by 117% in the 19 years, the 2 decades of data that we pulled together. Conversely, the school age population, 5 to 19 children, has decreased by 408 residents. So at the same time, you're seeing an increase in the aging, the older population, you're seeing a decrease in the younger population. And this has led to I think this is a very significant increase in the median age from just about 35 years of old to 41 years of age. That is a big jump for that period of time. The next two are a couple of just different data points. One is that you have almost 10% of your population is estimated to have a disability. And the disabled veterans are the vast majority of that. And then heirs, this is called your tenureship or tenure, ownership versus rental. Almost 2/3 of housing units in Ayer are occupied by the owner, not by a renter. So these two graphics tell the story of what I had talked about in the previous slide. You can see yourself compared to some of the other communities in terms of population change. Ayer is a little bit more than the Montechusett region and Massachusetts as a whole. A little bit more than Harvard, but it's you saw significant jumps in communities like Groton and Shirley. And then over to the other side, you can see the changes. If you look at the far left column, far right column, when you're looking at it, you can see the changes in the 55 to 64, 65, 75. Those are big, significant changes in the population totals. And then you can see the decline in the school age population. All of that at the bottom shows what happened to your median age. Kind of what I was saying. All right, so the other big data points when you're talking about housing is people's ability to afford the housing, right? So we look at housing costs for owners, we look at housing costs for renters, and we also look at income. We also look at, so when you talk about household income, you have to think about who's occupying the house, right? And if you could go one more click. All right. So the first three bullets are kind of interesting. When you talk about Ayer compared to the county, state, and nation, Ayer has a higher percentage of single households, meaning a single occupant, has a lower percentage of family households, a family with children under 18, and husband and wife families, all of those. And this essentially leads to this bottom one. It has a lower median number of housing occupants. So your household income tends to be a little bit less than the county by almost 10%, 92,000 compared to 102,000. And then one thing that this can be attributed to is the smaller household sizes, right? There's less people with income, right? We don't understand children aren't bringing in a lot, but more people in a household can equate to more household income. There's other factors, I'm aware of that, but it is a significant, and it speaks to the type of housing you might want to consider buying. If you have smaller households, building 3 and 4 bedrooms might not be the most ideal solution. You might want to focus on studios, 1 and 2 bedrooms, right? To meet the community where they're at. So then the median housing cost, about $1,100 for rentals and $2,100 for ownership. When you look at demographers and financial advisors and even HUD, Housing and Urban Development, the Federal Housing and Urban Development, talks about cost burden for a household. If the household is spending more than 30% of its income towards its housing costs, it's considered to be cost burden. That's kind of that spot where you want to be at. You want to be below that. So if you're making $100,000 a year, you only want to spend $30,000 a year on housing. Divide that by 12, and that tells you what you should probably be spending monthly, right? And we're seeing just around 23% of renters and owners are cost burdened. Both of these are below county and state levels by a significant margin. So by these metrics, Ayer households are not as cost burdened as we're seeing statewide and countywide. So this is something to just sort of be viewed on its own. It's hard to go through without confusing people, but it's essentially doing the math, and the math as it relates to a fictitious four-person household, and what it costs to own the average priced home in Ayer, right? So most people own. Looking at that sort of makes sense. When you look back at historical data on cost of housing, we see that $339,000, $340,000 is the typical single-family cost or average from 2018. And then doing the math, as I said, if they have zero debt, you put down 20,000, put down a down payment, you have current interest rates, you can figure out what the principal and interest is on the typical house, I shouldn't say the typical, the median house in Ayer, looking at property taxes based on your present mills rate, property insurance, and PMI, because 20% or 28,000 down is only 5.7%, right? So you're looking at a monthly housing payment of $2,145, and this would mean that a home should not exceed $350,000 if you want to stay below that cost burden number. The reason why I put this other chart on the right where it talks about household size and 80% of median income, if you want to qualify for a program that acts as a subsidy, a housing subsidy, you have to make below these numbers for your household based on household size. So for a household of 4, you see it's $89,200. So this is what this sort of doing the math attempts to do is can a family qualify for a housing subsidy in Ayer based on average housing costs? This says it does, but remember, this assumption is also working on the fact that they have zero additional debt, because you want to stay below 30%, but you also have debt to income ratios. So maybe your housing payment's below the 30%, but you might have auto loans, student loans, right, credit card debt that could push you above what underwriters are going to allow to happen. So again, I know this particular slide can get a little confusing. It's there to look at and digest. I'm always available to answer questions, but it does paint a little bit of a picture. All right, so you hit it again, please. Maybe a couple more times. Trying to get that top one to fill. There it is. All right. So when we talk about constraints on land, we throw them in couple buckets. We have absolute development constraints, partial development constraints. Absolute means it's in a flood zone, it's a wetland, it's some kind of other protected resource. Partial is that it's buildable, but it requires more permitting and takes more time, and thus is more costly. So steep slopes, maybe it's not in wetlands, but it's in the buffer zone, right? It's sensitive wildlife habitat. This is important because when we start to look at where in Ayer can we build, this begins to whittle down the whole community to smaller areas once you start pulling out the absolute development constraints and even some of the partial development constraints. MRPC's GIS team did an analysis, and we came up with I believe it was, all right, so undeveloped land without any constraints, partial or absolute, of about 1,200 acres. However, when we look back at, because we cross-reference our research with other plans that you've done, and you recently did a master plan, and that one came up with about 200 buildable acres. So it all depends on methodology, right? Ours is very high level. There's always going to be reasons why something isn't buildable, but you know, it starts to get you a sense of what your community has for opportunities. All right, so this graphic attempts to show MRPC's analysis. The brown is land that's not residentially zoned, which leaves the rest of it, and then we colored the land that is undeveloped with partial constraints, undeveloped with absolute constraints, and undeveloped without any constraints. So you can see at the bottom of the red graphic, or the red text box, 1221, as I had showed you on the previous slide. So that's that graphic shows you some of the information from the previous slide, but then the map shows you location, right? And so a lot of it is going to be near where infrastructure is, right? Roads, sewer, water, that sort of thing. All right, so this is the best part. This is the what have we done. Ayer's done a lot. It's been great. A lot of this is taken since the master plan, because that's what it kind of kicked off a lot of goals and strategies. So I'm going to go through these with you. All right, well, I'm going to get into this part first. My apologies. Not having the presentation in front of me makes me lose a little track of the slide ordering. All right, so what have we done? These are the subsidized housing units that you currently have. SHI. This list is maintained by the Department of Housing and Community Development for the state. As of December 2020, which is the most recent update that they did, Ayer has 254 units, which represents 7.4% of the total 3,440 units that you have. 3,440 units is based on 2010 census, so that number is going to change. It's probably going to increase once the 2020 numbers come out, which haven't yet. So your percentage may go down. I'm sure you're all aware 10% is that goal that you want to get to, because that's what gives you more control over your decision-making processes if somebody were to come in with an unfriendly 40B proposal. Just to remind everybody, the Ayer Housing Authority owns 2 properties, and it manages another one, an elderly housing complex at Pleasant Street. One of the reasons why Ayer's housing percentage, the 7.4% went down, is because there were some units that expired and removed from the SHI. And it's possible over the next 5 years that another 50 plus units could expire as well and pulled off the SHI. These last couple of bullets are basically just sort of giving you a sense of what this means. If a developer comes in looking for a comprehensive permit through the ZBA, it really cannot be denied if you're below that 10%. Right, it's a broad statement. There's some caveats there, but that's essentially what it means. One of the goals that can help you deflect 40B comprehensive permits is if you meet annual production goals of annual of 0.5% and every 2 years of 1%. And in order for Ayer to do that, they need to be producing 17 additional income restricted affordable units per year over the next 5 years. Obviously, these things come in chunks, so that's that's why it gives you an annual, and then it gives you 2 years, right? So 34 units over 2 years, 17 units per year. All right, this graphic's in there just for informational purposes. Anybody wants to look at this presentation at a later time, but this is all of your affordable units, and they're the project name, address, what type it is, rental or ownership, total subsidized units. When does the affordability expire? If it says perp, that means perpetuity, meaning it goes forever. And then, was it built with a comprehensive permit, and who is the subsidizing agency? Because not all units are built with a comprehensive permit, because sometimes the town does it. Sometimes it's a friendly 40B. Sometimes it's done through community development block grant funds. There's other ways to create affordable housing. It's not always through that aggressive approach of a 40B. Okay, so this is all the actions that the town has taken since the master plan. You formed the Affordable Housing Committee. I, along with the team tonight, Karen, myself, Jonathan, along with Alicia and Alan, presented to the committee to get their feedback. They made some great comments. They did vote to endorse, so we have their support, which is great. They've been a great partner through this. So that was an excellent step by all of you. It gives a clearinghouse for affordable and housing production conversations to be had. They initiated the drafting of this HPP. So we're doing this, and this is also another great start. You, in 2018 and then revised in 2019, you passed the inclusionary housing bylaw. This requires a builder of units above a certain number to start to produce affordable housing. Many communities have done this as a great tool to use. The form-based bylaw is another one that was passed. The accessory apartment bylaw, while not necessarily affordable to go with the big A to go on the subsidized housing inventory, it does create accessible, affordable, small A housing units. And whether it's a family member, like an in-law suite, or whether it's a college student, or just anybody that's needs a small apartment, right? Designated a housing choice community, which is great. This is in recognition of the work that you've done. That's something that Governor Baker is a designation by the governor, and it makes grant programs available to you. And then in 2020, you created the Affordable Housing Trust, which is puts funds in a program that can eventually be used by the community or in conjunction with a private entity, whether it's a nonprofit developer or it's a for-profit developer. The trust can then collaborate with them, or it can go on its own, like through your Ayer housing community, housing authority. So having that trust is a great way to bring in funds. All right, so as I mentioned, what have we done? We reached out to the community. There was great conversations, and there was a big public outreach meeting. Alicia had mentioned it, and I pulled out 3 of the questions that were asked, and it also gives some of the responses. If you look on number 5 on the left, it talks about where should housing go if we're to try to build new housing. People talk about the benefits of living in Ayer, which is great. The size of the community, which translates to a lot of things. People are friendly, peaceful. You feel like there's a neighborhood watch. And then the second one is kind of building on that. What are some of the benefits of living in Ayer? So these are, this is some of the feedback that we got from the community, in the beginning of this process that helped drive a lot of the work that we did to draft this housing production plan, especially when it comes to the recommendations for goals and recommendations for implementation. So this happened in November 2019. It's a big public meeting. Town staff and MRPC staff were present, but the breakout groups, we took a large group and made it into smaller groups, and we asked these questions to them. That was led by housing committee members. So it was a very well-involved, well-led meeting. All right. So these are the actionable items, right? So the goals that we have, and what are we going to do to get those goals? All right. As I had said before, we want to try to produce the 17 affordable units per year for the next 5 years. The 2020 census could change this. It could increase it because the denominator will change. 3,440 units is going to most likely grow up because you've built more units since 2010. This is the same for any community. Increase local capacity. Capacity to get things done is key. And plan, develop, and manage housing. And you want to coordinate that effort because you don't want overlap. That's why having that housing committee is key, to have somebody that's really focused on that topic, to make recommendations, do research, and bring initiatives forward to decision makers and to the community as well, because you want buy-in before you go for votes, right? You really want buy-in. Increase all housing opportunities, whether it's increase housing opportunities for different ages, different incomes, everybody. One way to do this is to promote the housing rehab program and coordinate with local nonprofits. Habitat for Humanity is an example. The housing rehab program is funded through CDBG funds that Ayer applies for, and therefore low income qualified residents to do a lot of capital improvements. One of the things that you want to do in your community is find ways to keep the existing residents there. People are in Ayer for a reason. They like living there, as we saw in that community outreach thing. And you don't want someone to have to sell a house or go into foreclosure because their roof is leaking and they can't afford $20,000 for a new roof. Well, the housing rehab program can help income qualified people do that capital improvement. Same with heating, a new heating system, a new boiler, things like that. And then, that's very catch-all, doing housing development that's sustainable, affordable, and serves everyone. As I said, all ages, all incomes, all housing sizes, right? Not just families and not just single people, right? You have a good mix, and you need to embrace that and work towards that, serve towards that. These are like the direct actions. Those are the goals, right? The broader based goals. These are the direct actions. Continue to apply for the CDBG funds, for the housing rehab program. Be responsive to friendly 40Bs. One of the things about 40Bs is they can catch you off guard. You're trucking along, doing your thing, doing your best, and all of a sudden someone comes along, a private developer, because they found a piece of land that they can build on, and they try and push things through. So be responsive when they come by being prepared. And this whole housing production plan is a great way to do it. Promote and use the inclusionary housing bylaw. It's a tool. You have it now. So using it and making it worth the effort are key. You have CPA housing funds and payment in lieu funds and now that you have a housing trust, you have a clearinghouse for those funds. So using those funds, planning for them. Again, this document gets you a lot of that work, a lot of that legwork done, and brings it into one document that everyone can refer to on how to use those funds. As we said before, collaborate with Habitat for Humanity. They're a great resource, but that's just an example. It doesn't have to specifically be them, but it's a great example. Again, pursue other funding sources, planning assistance grants and DLTA grants, district local technical assistance grants. That is something that, like for example, a DLTA grant got Ayer the money to do this plan, and MRPC is acting as the consultant to help you draft this document and put it together. So pursuing DLTA grants and other grants to now implement that plan. And promote the open space and cluster development bylaw. These are ways to preserve areas of the community that are a little more rural, a little more open space, a little more untouched. It's a resource to produce more housing, but also produce housing that makes people not hate housing, not hate development. If you do it right, if you do it smart, community celebrates that. They're excited about that. And that is one tool to do it. All right, so I've told you everything. Now I'm gonna tell it to you again so that we hit the highlights. Remember this. Ayer has an aging population, and that's on two fronts. You have older people, more older people, and then you have a declining younger population, the school-age population. Less occupants, as I said, this is going to inform the type of housing you want to pursue. Your incomes, mortgages, and rents are lower than surrounding communities. This is that's consistent, right? If incomes are a little bit lower in the community, your mortgages and rents are going to essentially reflect that, right? That's market conditions. You did pass many new housing-related zoning bylaws and other administrative and policy types of improvements. You formed the housing committee. These are great accomplishments, and you want to keep building on that. You want to look towards infill housing and the housing rehab. And then where resources like public infrastructure allow, pursue multifamily housing, in a more dense way in the appropriate zoning districts to meet your housing goals. You want to do affordable owner occupant housing because owner occupancy is what is typically done in Ayer. It's 2/3 of the community, how 2/3 of the housing units are occupied by owners, right? Renters are also obviously very important because there's a reason, a lot of times there's a reason they can't afford it and on a down payment. The cost is too high, so you always have to keep an eye on that. And then to do all of this, you need to pursue the grants and promote these new tools when possible and collaborate where possible, right? Government is about a battle of resources. We don't always have everything we want, so collaboration and pursuit of competitive grants are key to getting done some of the things that we want to do to reach some of our goals. So tonight is the next step. It's the main one. We are requesting endorsement from a joint meeting of the planning board and the select board. If we do get that endorsement, that vote of approval, Alicia, Alan, myself, and the rest of the team will work together to wrap up the package and send it off to DHCT for certification. Chances are, this is almost expected, it's very common, they will come back with comments. So we might have a couple modifications to make, but we don't anticipate anything significant. There's enough examples out there that we've drawn from about what works. So we feel very confident in what we've produced. Alicia and Alan have been great guides on all of this, as has the housing committee. So we think we've got a really good product. We're proud of what we're presenting tonight. So we should get that certification if we get tonight's endorsement. And then you'll be able to start working on your implementation. So with that said, I'll take any questions. As you noted, Karen is here to help me out if there's something that I can't answer. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. If you want to go, can do the planning board first if any members have questions.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
I am Jonathan Kranz. I'm on the Ayer Planning Board. One of the realities of our situation is that the Planning Board and the Board of Appeals, the ZBA, we react to applications that come before us. So the driver of development are private interests. So what I'm wondering is what levers do we have to, aside from buying property ourselves and building units ourselves, what are the levers that we have available to us to meet this 17 units a year goal?
Well, some of those strategies that were outlined in the implementation plan can speak to that by creating zoning that sometimes you have the carrot, sometimes you have the stick. The inclusionary zoning is, requires someone to produce affordable units if they want to build a larger development. Sometimes you incentivize by saying, look, you can do this by right, but if you do this, you can get a couple of extra units. And so it incentivizes them to build a certain type or a certain place. And that can get you to additional units. You can look at town-owned land that you can make available either through sale or a ground lease. And, sales are usually very low because you're trying to incentivize someone. I don't want to say free, but I've seen it before. So utilizing the resources that you have to be able to incentivize developers. You can't force anyone to do anything. You can't force anyone to do anything with private property, but you can look at what's in your tool belt, largely regulatory and public resources. Some communities might go so far as to apply for like a mass, this is an extreme example, but apply for a MassWorks grant, which helps you build infrastructure. And maybe that infrastructure puts water or sewer in an area of town that didn't exist, but is actually very close to a major roadway. So if it had water and sewer, it could incentivize someone to build there and build affordable units. And you could dictate those terms if you were able to build that infrastructure, right? Build out that infrastructure. Yeah. So those are some of the tools that are out there. When we make recommendations, we try to keep in mind, the community and what it says and the rate at which it wants to grow, what resources it has. So you don't want to recommend something that doesn't fit the community. Its character, its available resources, but those are ways that you can do that. You look at your resources and you look at your regulatory approach. Alicia and Alan know this stuff as well as I do. I mean, if they want to jump in, but those are a lot of the tools that I've seen used in the past.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Nathan King from the Air Planning Board. Thank you, Mr. Haney, for this report. At the start, I'm going to talk more broadly about all the housing opportunities, not just the affordable track. And you mentioned that the big takeaway is the median age rising, and that we should encourage housing appropriate to that median age. I'm curious, can we expect the median age to decrease and attract more school age children in the next 20 years, right? In the past 20 years, we've gone up. Who says we're not at an inflection point? We might go down. So is that a possibility? Instead of targeting homes for smaller households, should we still continue to encourage, beyond 2 persons per household, 3 and 4?
I mean, the short answer is I would never encourage you or discourage you from including any type of housing, right? All trends, not all trends, most trends tend to change direction, right? That's why it's a trend. There are things in place that could change that aging population. For a long time, we were seeing a lot of the younger generation move to the big cities. So you saw cities growing exponentially, and they have for the last 20 or so years. Are we going to continue to see that trend? I mean, it's very, very expensive to live in a lot of the major cities right now. So are people going to look towards other locations? Look, COVID has pointed out to a lot of us that we can work from home. So perhaps some people don't pursue the city life and live in an area that's maybe a little more affordable. And it brings that population, the population that's in their 20s and 30s that might start having children, back out to Ayer. That might be what ends up happening. So it's speculative, but there is some anecdotal evidence at the time. So that is quite possible. You can't deny, I don't want to say this, but you can't deny the fact that an older population will not always be alive, right? So that number could change. I can't specifically say if, it'd be a real dig into the data, but it might be worth someone looking into. Is it elderly moving into the community, or is it people in their 40s and 50s now becoming 60s and 70s, right? So you can't deny the numbers, you can't deny the trends, but there's always more to it that you can look into. I mean, you can chase data for a very long time. So there are things that are out there that could change these trends. I don't want to put my finger on it to say, yep, this is what's going to happen, but those are just some of the thoughts, the initial thoughts that I would have. So again, to reiterate, I would not discourage you from, I would encourage you to pursue all housing, but if you have a trend that's needing to be responded to, then this document and your planning efforts could do that. We heard from the housing committee's member, I forget her name, but the woman was from the Council on Aging, and she was saying, yes, I've been seeing this trend for a long time. So does that mean she's also hearing a need from that aging population? And is it a housing need? And what can we do to meet that? It might very well be something. So.
So I'm going to jump in here just a moment. I know we've a little bit gone over our time, but I want to answer any of the questions because it is a fast process that we're asking. We got this out to you last week, and it's a little bit of a fast process. But one of the things that the governor has really been pushing is creating housing, and he's not even saying creating just affordable housing, because when we have healthy schools, healthy housing, we end up with healthy communities. And so one thing that the community is doing here is thinking about how they want to build housing. And just even if we're having these discussions, and Jonathan, I agree with you, how can we really direct instead of having it come at us? How can we direct and get what we want? The neighborhoods, the community that we want. So this is a first step, or one of many first steps. And I think the conversation is important. And if there's anybody else who wants to ask some questions.
Are we obligated to take the vote tonight for the approval? Is this going to happen tonight?
Well, it was going to happen tonight if everybody's ready to make that vote.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I just have a quick question. Playing devil's advocate, if we didn't, what's the implication if we did not vote in favor of this? What are the repercussions?
So can I just explain something that a housing production plan is? A housing production plan says that the town is doing things to think about their housing. So if you have a housing production plan and a 40B that you don't want to come in comes to the town, if you're making those, if you're getting those 17 units a year and you're making and doing all the right things, you can actually fight that 40B because it says we are planning for our housing. We are doing the things that we need to do. So a housing production plan basically says to the state, we're thinking about this, we're talking about this, we're working on this. Now, right now, because we've lost a number of the rehab units in our subsidized housing list, we don't qualify to stop a 40B if we want to. But the housing production plan is the document that gives you a little bit more control when a comprehensive permit or a 40B comes to town.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Any other
Alicia.
questions?
Appreciate that.
Can I make a comment, Mr. Chairman?
Sure, go ahead.
I was fortunate enough to be appointed to that Affordable Housing Committee, which has been discussed earlier, and be part of the process of reviewing this document before it came tonight. So I wanted to I know it seems quick to have gotten to between the planning board and the select board, but I wanted to back the fact that the Affordable Housing Committee, led by Jana Provodakis, in our group, has been reviewing it for quite a few months with Alicia Hersey and Alan Manoy, and we thank them for their support. And Blair gave a presentation to us as well earlier on in the process, as was mentioned. So I'd like to reassure the select board that although the timing seems tight to them, it has been under review by members of the town as professional staff, as well as committees in the town. And so our edits have already been in place in the document. I think we had, 3 revisions, Alicia, or something along those lines that we worked on. So it's not as though this is the document for the first time around, but it has been looked at pretty extensively, and we've had other shots at taking a look at it, and I thought they did a great job. So I'm happy to vote on it just the way it is right now.
Great. Thank you, Ken. I see Karen Chapman, you wanted to make a comment?
Thank you. I just wanted to mention that if you have an approved housing production plan, it's also a way to get points on different grant programs.
Right.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jeff, did you?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I appreciate all the work that you've done on this document. I had a lot of fun reading it over the weekend and reviewing it again today. And I've got a pretty marked up version of it. You can't see that, but at some point, Mr. Haney, I'd love to sit down with you and discuss some data, but that's okay. If my understanding of this is correctly, and I have had a couple of conversations with Mr. Diskin about this, this is another tool in our toolkit, is really what it comes down to. We've spent the last couple of years working fairly strenuously on updating our bylaws, bringing in different ways of bringing housing in based on the projects that come to us. I don't think this is, I'm going to walk a line. I don't necessarily think 40B is bad. I'm just going to say it, okay? It's a necessary part of housing in the way Massachusetts sets it up. So I don't see this as a way to stop it. I see it as a way to work with projects. So I'm just going to say that right now. I'm comfortable. It's a lot of work. It's a really interesting deep dive into Ayer's housing, and I really do appreciate it. It's going to help us, I think, a great deal going forward to the planning board and looking at things that we could adjust possibly over time. And that's a discussion for another time. So I'd like to poll the rest of the members on the board, but I am comfortable also adopting this document this evening so we can take it to the next step. I'm getting a thumbs up from Mr. Krantz, and I'm getting a shaking of the head from another member. So how do you want to proceed, Mr. Chair? Would you like us to call a motion as a planning board?
Yeah, so I think that's appropriate. If as the planning board, if you guys call a motion and vote, and then the select board could do theirs separately.
Appreciate that. You're on mute, Mr. Krantz.
Chair, are you looking for a motion?
Please, sir.
I move that the Air Planning Board approve the Town of Air Housing Production Plan, the January 2021 update as articulated to us by Mr. Hayne.
Thank you, Mr. Krantz. Do I have a second from the planning board member, please?
Seconded, Julie Murray.
Ms. Murray has seconded it. It's moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this from the planning board members? Hearing none, this is going to be an odd, I'm sorry, I saw a square light up. I'm not sure who it is. Okay. Ms. Murray, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Krantz, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. King, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Diskin, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So it's passed unanimously by the planning board this evening. Thank you, Mr.
Great.
Chair.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there any further discussion from the select board on this?
No.
Okay, could I get a motion from the select board?
I'll make a motion that the select board approve the Town of Ayer Housing Production Plan dated January 2021 as presented tonight.
I will second.
Okay, Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair?
Oh, sorry, yes.
That's all right. Are you taking any public comment on this discussion tonight? This is Pauline Conley.
Hi, yes, sure.
Just a comment, actually, not even a question or discussion point. But as I believe Mr. Haney and the attorney who presented the housing production plan pointed out, 40Bs are not always bad. I'm sure you all know we have a development in Ayer that was done through a comprehensive permit by the CBA, I don't know, 10 years ago. It's named the Willows. And so many Ayer residents were able to find housing, affordable housing, through the lottery process there. I had the opportunity to receive this document only earlier today. I read the executive summary. I served on that comprehensive permit committee. And while I think this is a good plan moving forward, I hope you will all at least review what we did as a town with the Willows. I know there are a couple of things on the scheduled planning for developments already in the area that I think some of this is driving. I just encourage you all, look at what was done with the Willows. The town benefits from the Willows developments. And I don't know how many of you lived here at the time, and I'm not criticizing anybody for not being here, but it worked so well. We really had a good group of people, and I think the town benefited directly from working with the developer on that project, and I look forward to seeing that happen again. One of the comments the attorney made that really encourages me is that we need to find a way to keep our senior population here. And as you know, I'm one of them now. I moved here in 1988. I've lived in Ayer longer than I've lived anywhere in my entire life. And I'm proud to say that. I moved here with a purpose, not because I could afford it, but with a purpose. And I'm just supporting the whole concept. I just hope you will all look at what we did before as we move forward. That's all.
Great. Thank you very much, Pauline.
Thank you, Sean.
Sorry, so I think I was at, we had the motion, correct?
Yeah, we had a motion and a second.
Okay, so Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and so the motion is passed and the plan is accepted by the select board.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Haney, for your presentation. And yes, thank you everybody who did all the work on this. It's quite a comprehensive plan.
One quick thing. This is Janet Pravadakis, the chairman of the Affordable Housing Committee. I just want to say thank you very much, definitely, to everybody. Blair, this was an awesome, presentation and such. And to reemphasize what people have been saying, we are on the right track. We've been moving forward since 2017's master plan. And I think, again, this is a step in the right direction, and we just continuously keep moving ahead. So thank you again for everything.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you, Janet.
Good work, everyone.
We're on our way.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Jeff Tillotson, Planning Board. I guess we can adjourn the planning board. So I'd entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved by Mr. Diskin, second Mr. Krantz. Mr. Krantz, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Diskin?
Aye.
Ms. Murray?
Aye.
And Mr. King?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you very much, Select Board, for having us to your meeting this evening.
Great. Thank you guys for joining us.
Good job, everybody. Congratulations, Alicia. Janice, great work, Alan.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Next item up is going to be the town manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Select Board, good evening. And in the interest of time, I will expedite my report largely to the action items. Of course, if there are any questions or comments from the select board. So we'll get right to it. You have the warrants from the time that the select board last met in your packet. In terms of the administrative update, as the board is aware, our main focus right now is largely all things budget, all things town meeting prep, and of course, our ongoing COVID-19 efforts. The first action item, I'm pleased to announce we have 4 appointments for your consideration tonight. And I want to thank Alan Manoyan for his efforts on this. As the board is probably aware, one of our goals in the master plan, as well as one of our goals through the ADA plan, as we're reviewing and upgrading that, is to have an active ADA Commission on Disabilities. And in the time I've been here, we've tried numerous outreach efforts to get a committee together. We've had a couple members. I really want to thank Alan's outreach effort to really go into the community and find individuals that are interested, experienced, and passionate about these important issues, which will serve the town well, will serve the ADA plan well, and the master plan well. And I know many of them are here tonight on the Zoom call, but for the record, for the board, I'm recommending for appointment to the Ayer Commission on Disabilities, Ms. Caitlin Gamache to fill a vacant 3-year term to expire on June 30th, 2021. Ms. Laura Warner to fill a vacant 3-year term which expires on June 30th, 2021. Mr. David Sybor to fill a vacant 3-year term which expires on June 30th, 2021. And Ms. Ava Sheriff to fill a vacant 3-year term which expires on June 30th of 2023. And many of them are here tonight before the board. And I think this is just really exciting for the town to get this commission together, and I look forward to working with them. And again, really thank Alan, has already conducted some meetings with them to get interest in moving us forward.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the board members on the appointments?
I just have a brief question. Robert, can you give just a very high level summary of what the commission is going to be working on?
Sure. So every municipality in Massachusetts, as the board is aware, is required to have a commission on disabilities. And the commission is to be composed, appointed by the select board of residents in Ayer that represent and or interested and passionate on the various issues under the Americans with Disabilities Act. And under the law, as the town manager, I'm the ADA coordinator for the town. In other words, sort of the professional staff point person for complaints and so forth. What the commission will be doing several things, and they'll determine to an extent their scope, but some of their main tasks will be to periodically review the town's ADA plan, which we're in the process of updating, so the timing is perfect. If there is an ADA complaint, that complaint would be made to my office as the coordinator, but I would defer to the commission, would serve as the appointed body to hear that complaint. They also serve as advocates for the disability community in the town. They also have the authority to review any infrastructure, housing projects, any projects in the town to ensure ADA compliance. And they also will play a key role, as the board can appreciate. Many state and federal grants require a commission, require support from the commission and a letter of support. And we still have some vacancies, Mr. Hood, which we'll continue to advertise. Mr. Sylvester, that many know, is on the commission. These 4 individuals, if appointed by you, will join. And I think we still will have, it's up to a 7-member commission, so there'll still be 2 vacancies.
Thank you.
And
Any other questions?
could I just make quick mention? I just think it's noteworthy quickly. 2 of our individuals here, we're very fortunate. Caitlin Gamache, who is with us here tonight on Zoom. Caitlin is with Code Red Consultants. Her profession, she works for a professional, Caitlin used it, but for a code compliance consulting firm. So we are blessed that the We have professionals. These are the professions. Laura Warner, who is one of the other appointees, is in fact the Director of Student Accessibility Services at Phillips Andover Academy. These are their professions. So we are really fortunate. We have folks like this living in Ayer and here ready to serve. Just quickly, Ava Sheriff. I've met Ava because Ava is, I believe, either junior or senior at our high school. And she is a person who is living without sight, but she is out and lives right here in Ava. And I think it's great that we have a young person of that generation who is living with this and is going to now help advise our community going forward. And then Dave Cybor. I see Dave every day. A lot of us do. Dave is out with his son, right out on the sidewalks. No one knows every inch of the sidewalks in this town better than Dave's and his son, and navigating that in the wheelchair with his son. So I just tell you, these four folks, along with Mr. Sylvester, we are very, very thankful and fortunate that these folks step forward. This is going to be an outstanding group of folks to work with. Thank you.
And Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman,
Alan.
just to correct myself to Mr. Hood, one of Mr. Hood's questions, it's actually a 5-member commission. I misspoke. So with these 4 appointments, along with Mr. Sylvester, we will have a full disabilities commission for the first time in about 15 years. And I think that's a huge achievement for the town. I mean, we've continued to comply with the ADA and had interested folks, but this is the first time. And I'm very pleased and proud of that. And as Alan mentioned, this is going to be a good group.
Great. Thank you, guys. Okay. Are there any other questions?
No.
Nope.
Do you want to make a motion to accept as presented?
That'd be
So moved.
easy. Seconded.
Okay. Okay. Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. All right, great. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Caitlin and David, for joining us, and welcome. And look forward to working with you guys in the future.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you for
stepping
signing up.
Members of the board, just briefly under the COVID-19 update, some good news, as many of you probably saw last Thursday, Ayer is now classified as a yellow community under the DPH map. We've gone down from red, as many have, so there's a positive trend really across the Commonwealth, but especially out here, so that is positive. I just wanted to touch upon the ongoing efforts really have to do with the vaccination. And as the board is aware, the 16 town administrators of the region sent a letter on February 16th to the governor with our concerns about the COVID-19 vaccine availability in the Neshoba Valley, and described it as a vaccine desert, which unfortunately still holds true, meaning there's no major regional site. And we had a proposal to do a regional site on Devens, and this is with the support of the state legislative delegation, the Neshoba Boards of Health. The day after we sent the letter on the 16th, on February 17th, the state issued guidance on regional sites, which basically ties our hands. In other words, the threshold and requirements from the state to do a regional effort is problematic. So we sent a second letter on February 26th, further stating our concerns, as well as our offer still stands to provide a regional effort out here. To date, we have not received a formal response from the governor or from the secretary at this time. The entire state delegation is aware of it, and Congresswoman Trahan's office as well. So we will continue to push that. And what I sent to the board, it came up from some of my colleagues, we're asking all of the select boards to consider taking a vote in support of this effort. And I sent to the select board basically a resolution that, to summarize, if the board would consider a vote, is acknowledging the 2 letters which the board has and stressing the importance of this effort. It is largely symbolic, but I think it would go a long way. Harvard is doing it tonight. Everybody's using the same form that I sent you. The town of Berlin and Boxborough have already done it. Lunenburg, Harvard is tonight. And if you would consider tonight, just taking a vote in support of a Neshoba Valley Regional Vaccination Site, we will send this to the governor from you.
Any questions on it?
I have no questions.
No questions.
Same. Great. Do you want to make a motion on it?
So I'll make a motion. Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
you want
Go
to
ahead,
do it? Go ahead.
Janice.
Okay. I'll make a motion that the select board approve the letter, another letter in support of a Neshoba Valley Regional Vaccination Site as explained by the town manager.
I will second.
Okay. Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Okay, thank you. And we'll prepare that for your signature. The next item, just briefly, the FY22 budget and annual town meeting update. And we'll touch upon this a little in more detail at the public forum next Monday. But I transmitted to the select board and to the FinCom today. The town of Ayer did receive its certified free cash from the Department of Revenue. The general fund free cash certified is over 1.5 million. The enterprise water fund, 2.7 million. The sewer fund, 2.3 million. Solid waste, 113,000. And the ambulance at 64,000. And in the interest of time, I just again want to stress that this is a true testament to the town's financial strength, its fiscal strength, its management, the support of the select board, the FinCom, all of our committees, commissions, and the residents. I mean, this is a positive. The buy board, this board, the select board, and the FinCom will be discussing recommended uses for the free cash in the weeks ahead as we leave up to town meeting. And we'll touch a little bit about that on Monday. I just, again, as the chair mentioned, I appreciate the announcement. Next Monday at 6 p.m. is the second forum. We'll be really focusing on the details of the budget that voters can expect to see at town meeting. It's a joint meeting of the select board and the FinCom. All town departments will be there. We really want the public to come to ask their questions. In the event that you can't make the forum or don't want to ask a question on the platform, please contact Ms. Antonellis in advance with your question, sort of like we did at the police forum. We want to make sure your question gets asked and answered. So we continue to move forward in that direction. In terms of the annual town meeting, the deadline for warrant articles and citizens petitions is Friday, April 2nd. When the board meets next on March 16th, I'll provide to the board in the packet a sort of a draft of that warrant and an update on the articles. We're looking at about 26 articles as of right now. The average is usually about 30 to 32, and we'll discuss that in more detail. The next action item, respectfully requesting that the board vote to approve the FY22 Capital Planning Committee recommendations for the ATM warrant. As the board is aware, the town's Capital Planning Committee met through a series of public meetings and made their recommendations back. Their last meeting was on December 8th, I believe. And we released all of the recommendations are on the website and so forth, and they're in your packet. And we're looking for the board, if there are any questions on those recommendations, to take a vote. These are then will be put on the warrant, which is still subject to select board approval in April. And there are generally two articles on the warrant that address the capital recommendations, and they're determined whether it's a borrow or whether we're going to pay for it from capital stabilization. So again, tonight's vote is not an approval per se. What it is an affirmation to put the recommendations of the capital planning into the warrant. And we do have a shared screen if anybody has any questions on those recommendations.
I have no questions.
Sean, Sarah Withy had reached out to me asking, she had a question on one of the items on the capital.
Sure. Looks like she's on now. Hi, Sarah.
Hello. Maybe I'll say what I want to say. I'm not sure if this is the right place to say it, but on the capital budget, page 71, I noticed that it said West Main Street, Devon's Connection. And I took a little time to ask the DPW director about it. And I just wanted to say, it's based on what he said, this is different than the water, out of town water extension. It's connection or interconnection. It doesn't, in the connections for emergency use, there's not a water district and there's not daily customers on metered billing. So I just wanted to note that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay.
I'll make a
So we
motion. Sorry. I'll make a
Nope,
motion
go ahead.
to approve the capital planning committee recommendations for town meeting 2021.
Seconded.
Okay, Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
The next item, is the town planner has submitted an application for a DLTA grant. And as you heard on the housing, that was through a DLT, a district local technical assistant grant. And this grant coming from the town planner, if we were approved, would be for grant funding to do a study looking at build out in the town. And some of those themes were touched upon tonight about building, population, and so forth. So they're asking for a letter of support from the select board. I put in the packet the one that I did. They asked for a letter from me as well. And so on behalf of the town planner, I'll be asking the board to authorize a grant letter of support for the build out study with signature by the board.
Any questions on the letter?
I have no questions.
No questions. Thank you.
Neither do I. Do you need a approval on it, Robert? Or
I can prepare the letter and have it for the board to sign. It's the will of the board if you want to do a formal vote or if there's consensus, it's not needed.
I don't think it's needed. If
I don't think
that's
it's needed.
consensus. Okay.
I support it. So yeah, I think we're all in
Yeah.
agreement.
Okay.
Hmm.
And then lastly, to the chair and members of the board, is the Ayer Shirley Regional Dispatch Intermunicipal Agreement. As the board is aware, the town of Ayer and the town of Shirley entered into a regional agreement for dispatch and back in 2017 and for a year. And then there was a 2-year agreement which expired on June 30th. And unfortunately, due to COVID, which is an unfortunate repeating theme, the contract, the 3-year agreement, the 2-year agreement expired on June 30th of 2020. And there was a delay in the negotiations with Shirley, that's no fault of anyone, as well as with State 911. I'm pleased to present for your consideration a new intermunicipal agreement for a 3-year agreement effective July 1st of 2020 through June 30th of 2024. And you'll see that the change in the agreement, if you will, was the funding. The regional dispatch, just for everybody's benefit, is housed at the Ayer Police Station. It is state of the art. The entire dispatch center has been renovated first on $1 million grant, and then it's been expanded on another grant. And I know that the chief, once COVID improves, would like to have the board tour it. It's state of the art. all of the employees of the regional dispatch are town of Ayer employees. Chief Murray is the administrator of the regional dispatch. The regional dispatch serves all of Ayer and all of Shirley. And that 3-year agreement, the one proposed for FY21, Shirley will pay a $145,000 assessment. They've actually paid the first half of that as we're in FY21. And they would just build for the second piece. In FY22, Shirley would pay a $145 assessment, and state 911 will pay $38,500. The $38,500 that the state is paying takes into account escalating costs, if you will. And then the FY23, Shirley pays $145 assessment, and state 911 pays $56,000, again, to take into account the accelerated costs and so forth. The financial piece, of course, was reviewed by the town finance manager, myself. The agreement as a whole has been reviewed by both chiefs. There are no structural changes to the regional dispatch center. The biggest change, if you will, is the 3-year term and the funding. The first, on the old agreement, which was a 2-year agreement, Shirley paid $100,000 in year 1, and they paid $120,000 in year 2. So this picks up from there at 145 and then moving forward.
Robert, when you, I'm sure I know the answer, but when you say escalating costs, that includes like cost of living raises and additional personnel costs, et cetera. Okay.
Correct.
Any other questions?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
The state 911 funds are guaranteed, correct?
Correct. And
Okay.
To Selectman Hood's question, we will attach, and I should add that the Shirley Board of Selectmen are going to approve on the 8th, this agreement. We will attach to this in the appendix. There is a letter from state 911 confirming this. Frank Posniak's the director, so we made sure we get that in writing.
All right, thank you.
Just for a little background, when this first came up, the situation was so bad. I mean, Shirley literally had no one to answer the phones. And the state 911 was pretty much begging that this agreement go into place. So that's how dire the situation was when this agreement was first established in 2017. And it's worked very well.
I don't have any other questions about the agreement, Scott or Janice.
Other questions? Thank you.
So I'll make a motion that the select board approve the new Ayer Shirley Regional Dispatch intermunicipal agreement as outlined by the town manager.
I will second.
Okay, Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and the agreement is approved. I just, oh, she's not there at the moment. I was just gonna say, Carly, on the draft, on page 7, it still says Ayer Board of Selectmen, but but then below it says Select Board, so.
Thank you.
Page 7, okay. Got
Good
it.
catch.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, unless there are any questions from the select board, that concludes my report for tonight, and I appreciate the opportunity to present to the board.
I don't have any questions.
No.
Okay, there was nothing listed under new business or selectmen questions. And the last is for, looks like a meeting approval minutes, approval of meeting minutes. It's running late here. For the Tuesday, February 9th meeting with the FinCom. Were there any changes?
I didn't have any.
I didn't see any spelling errors, so.
Okay. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for February 9th, 2021 as presented.
Seconded.
Okay. Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and the meeting minutes are approved. And that we are at the end of the meeting now. If there's anything else.
If I could, we
Yeah.
just have some stuff for signatures for you. There's already a pile on the counter. And then I know Robert's just gonna finish putting together that DLTA letter in the IMA. So maybe by tomorrow afternoon, everything will be there. If you guys could come sign, that would be great. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. Okay, is a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:41 PM.
Seconded.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.